got this feeling, baby, we're invincible.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Rebuilding Notts County, the first analysis video of the series. I'm very much looking forward to getting stuck into the stats. I've changed the way I've built the analysis view a little bit differently this time. We've got a separate one for goalkeepers, but I've built an all-purpose analysis view that we can use, because the thing is, I found before I was putting in unnecessary stuff, but this time I've just got to focus on the important things, and a lot of that is based on ratios and percentages, rather than like, I don't care how many headers the players won, I'm more interested in the percentage of their headers won and how many headers they're winning per game. That's the kind of stuff that interests me, so I feel like we can remove a lot of the more granular and minutiae stuff from the analysis views, which allows us to have a more all-purpose, easier to understand analysis view that we can use for all outfield players, which I have now built. We've got a separate one for goalkeepers still though, mainly because they use a completely different set of stats, and also the fact that I didn't come up with the idea until after I'd already built the goalkeepers one. So yeah, so first we're going to have a look at the team and player stats for the actual league itself, then we'll deep dive into the individual ones. We'll still do the same thing where we filter it by player and whatnot and talk about that, do all the comparisons, all that good stuff. So, average possession, you can see we have the highest average possession in the league, 58%. Really, really nice to see. Barnet up there as well, pretty solid. Stockport, nice to see them doing a bit of possession football, good to see. We had 16 penalties this season. That is a lot, and we scored 13 of them. Admittedly, Hartlepool also had 14, but I believe that comes down to the fact that we dribble with the ball so much. We have so much possession, and the amount of passes we complete, that we get in opposition's boxes quite a lot, and I think that's been a really nice source of goals for us. I mean, 13 of them is insane. Headers won, though, we are right down at the very bottom. We've only... Wow, that is not a lot of headers won this season, but I'm all right with that, really. Headers won ratio, though, is the second highest, or joint highest as well. That's the main thing. We're not winning many of them, but when we do, we win a decent amount of them. So that's all right for me. Yellow cards, we should be really low. 40 yellow cards this year. Only Hartlepool have got... I mean, look at that. 21 yellow cards. That's less than one a game on average. Actually impresses me a little bit. No surprise really to see Bromley at the highest there with 92 yellow cards this season, and 3 reds as well. So that, I'm pretty sure, it was Bromley, wasn't it? The team that had like 34 fouls against us, and then just, yeah, what was it? I'm actually not sure it was now that I come to think of it. I actually can't think of who it might have been in that game. Feels like it was Bromley. I don't know. Might have been Dagenham. I don't know. Red cards, Barrow and Harrogate had 4. We have actually had 3 red cards this year. Frustrating, I have to say. For a team that don't foul very much, it seems like the game just kind of goes, no, actually, you're still going to get loads of red cards. But we'll see that bears out when you look at the actual fouls we've conceded this year. So, the streaks is basically irrelevant. We don't really care about that. 110 goals. That's what we do care about. We've scored 36 more goals than the nearest team, and it's been our attacking threat that's made all the difference, as has our cross completion of 17%. Really, really solid, dominating that. Well, not dominating, but definitely out in front, which is the main thing. 360 crosses completed too, miles clear of anybody else. We scored 16 times from corners this year as well. I mean, there you go. Like, 13 goals from penalties, 16 goals from corners as well. That's 29 of our goals have come from corners and penalties. But at the end of the day, it's not like we're doing anything particularly special from corners. We're just putting the ball into the 6-yard box, and we've got good players that do the trick in there. I mean, that's all I can really say about it. One area where we've struggled, though, is, direct free kicks. None. Not a single one, despite having Regan Booty, who's got reasonably good free kicks taken. Wow, we've scored 20 goals from indirect free kicks this season. This is quite eye-opening, actually, because that one is a really good... Thing is, right, and this is important to note, I don't have any instructions on indirect free kicks. This is the default instructions. I haven't touched them. I'm not using some magic tactic. I actually reverted back to the default after what I changed didn't work. I think we've just had better players in the right areas, to be honest, because that's where we've got our goals from. When you actually look at it, what was that? That's like 49 goals have been scored from like corners, free kicks, and penalties. Amazing. That is amazing. Actually, I didn't realize it was as much as that from indirect free kicks, but I guess it must be. That's why Booty's got so many damn assists. Pass completion, 77%, comfortably the best in the league. Amazingly, not the most passes completed, though. Not by much, but I'm surprised it's not higher, actually. And we didn't create the most chances in the league, too, with only 100 chances created compared to some of the better teams in the league, which suggests to me that we're actually we're pretty good at fashioning goals out of, we've got more chances. We've scored more goals than we have chances created, which is utterly insane. It's almost the opposite of how I normally do these, but we do hit the target a lot. 47% of our shots on target is very, very nice to see. And we've also had 360 shots on target. Our conversion ratio is also excellent. So that's definitely been a good sign. We've also been fouled. Oh my giddy aunt. This is what I mean, right? This is why we've had so many goals from indirect free kicks. It's it's literally so obvious right there, though. You can see we've been fouled nearly 300 times more than Barnet and Hartlepool. And Hartlepool have got a decent amount of goals from indirect free kicks, but we've been fouled over 300 times more, which to me is kind of accounts for the fact that we've scored so many goals on them because we've been fouled so many times. Mental. Dribbles per game as well. 18 dribbles per game. So much better. We've played right into that, and I think it's done us a good job. Defensively, 4th best in the league. 45, basically a goal a game. Barnet were very, very strong at the back. As for Aldershot and Chesterfield as well. In fact, frankly, the top 6 were just the best at that. Solihull, not so good there. Conceded from corners. We've only conceded 4 from corners this year. So pretty solid defensively, to be honest. It feels like it's a lot, but it's not. To only concede 4 goals from corners all season, I will take that. Compared to someone like Dagenham, who conceded 16. Conceded from direct free kicks, none. We haven't conceded a single direct free kick, but we haven't scored any either. Because there hasn't really been many of them, it would seem. Conceded from indirect free kicks. I feel like we're going to be, yeah. So as much as we score a lot of them, we also concede a buttload of indirect free kicks, which seems completely out of left field when you consider how many fouls we make. Because you'd feel like the teams down here are probably some of the more foul-y teams. We'll remember the teams that are down here. So Barrow, Torquay, Harrogate, Fylde. We'll see if it matches up. Because, we scored the most from indirect free kicks, but we also got fouled more than anybody else comfortably. So that, to me, should explain why. And Hartlepool, wow, they just don't seem to foul anybody, do they? Right, clean sheets, though. Barnet, 25. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot there. Fouls made. Right, we should be down towards the bottom. So, herein lies my question. That means there is obviously something we can work on from a defensive standpoint, because you look at the teams around here. So, like, Torquay, 530. Barrow, 527. Fylde, 500. Harrogate, 500. Us, 372. That confuses me a little bit. It means that we're conceding way more goals from indirect free kicks than we really should be. And that suggests to me that we need to have a little look at that and have a little work on maybe a different strategy for defending them. Because Hartlepool have conceded the least, which makes total sense. In fact, let's just see who's conceded the least from indirect. I'm just curious about this now. So Barnet, Sutton and Eastleigh all had 4. So let's have a look at that. So we should expect to see them. So Barnet, yeah. Sutton, interesting. Very interesting. In fact, Sutton concede a lot of fouls and yet don't concede many from free kicks. So they've obviously got a good setup there. Eastleigh are down with us as well. Interesting. I think there's definitely room for optimization there, it'd be fair to say. Tackles won. Wow, we've only won 700 tackles this year, but I guess you don't really need to. Tackles won ratio, right up there at 88%. Chorley, pretty solid at 89. They've just obviously not been able to parlay that into something useful. Penalties conceded. 2. Not bad. Still not the best, but not the worst. Unlike Barrow, who just can't seem to stop conceding them. Average attendance, the highest comfortably in the league. Attendance by capacity is actually still not bad. No sellouts, not a single one. We had 16,000. I can't remember which game it was for, but 16,000 for a National League game is insane. Net transfer spend, none, obviously. Salary per annum, we already know that ours is not by much, though. I mean, it's the most in the league, but it seems like Barnet and Chesterfield have signed people that have, done stuff for that. A lot of insecure teams at this level, which is a little bit concerning. Right, let's have a look at the players now. This is quite a fun one because it really does show which of our players have really overperformed this season. Charlie Oliver, Slocum and Booty have played in every single league game this year. Just insanity. Well played, lads. And Booty, and of course they've won 32 games each, which is just ridiculously good. Yellow cards. Wow, there's a Cypriot guy, Stelios Dimitriou, who's got 12 yellow cards. And obviously we've got no one on that at all. Red cards we should have. Yeah, Pierce Bird got 1. Matt O'Reilly did get 1. It was rescinded. Regan Booty, most man of the match awards with 8 this year. But Matt O'Reilly got 6 as well. Really good to see. Distance covered, we don't care about that. It's the average one that matters. Usually if we're going to have a player on here, it'll be a fullback. But I want to see about that. Average rating, this should be dotted with our players. Booty, Baldwin, Thomas is in there, Matt O'Reilly, Ryan Tulloch's done a decent job there too. Then you have to go down to Charlie Oliver. That is really, really good to see. I think he's got a bright future. I'm concerned about Ben Turner though. And hey, look, Dehaney got in there in the end. He's had a solid end to the season, it would seem. Headers 1, that's the sheer number. We're never going to be on there. Oh, that's not what I meant to click. We want Wes Thomas, 23 goals, Matt O'Reilly 16, Baldwin 14. I mean, just think what he could have done with a full season. I mean, look at that. That's why. Look, average minute per goal, 122 minutes. He's basically getting a goal every game and a third. And I think with a full season, if we extrapolate out he'd already had 48 shots in that period of matches. I mean, he was on for like a 28-goal season if he carried on playing for us. And I feel like we would have just been dominating this league otherwise. Bernard Mensah of Maidenhead has had 134 shots and somehow only scored 8 goals out of it. Sure, why not? Jordan Garrick for Yeovil Town. That's a lot of shots on target. Where's Thomas? Nice. I mean, look at that's another thing. He had 48 shots in 23 matches. No one even comes close to that I can see on here. Like Frank Mulhern, fine, but he's mostly been, let's see this. Baldwin again, 59% shots on target ratio. Where's Thomas at 53 is solid, but you can see why Baldwin did so well. Conversion rate. Michael Doyle, amazingly, 36%, but that doesn't really count for me. Team goals, obviously 110 team goals there, no surprises there. Penalties. So Adam Bale of Hartlepool scored 9 of his 11 penalties. Mitch Rowe scored 6 out of 6, and Michael Doyle 5 out of 6 penalties so far this season. A lot of penalties being scored. Regan Booty with 20 assists on the board. Brindley with 9. Milan Bars with 8. Now, what I would say is that Brindley has got assists in his game, but that might be because I think he often took free kicks when Booty wasn't in the team. Key passes, Regan Booty with 111. O'Reilly with 66. Booty has ran the show this year. Absolutely ran the show. Great to see. And, yep, joint top on chances created as well with 26. What a season he's had. Got to be said. Pass completion. Ooh, okay. Mitch Rose at 86% is very, very high. And interesting to see that Milan Bars is so high. I wonder if that's a factor of why he's been okay for us. Cross completion, where's Thomas at 24? We want to see what the fullbacks and wide men are like, really. Dribbles per game. And then again, you can see, 4.6 dribbles per game for Baldwin. None of the others, like Sosa or anyone else, has even got broken 3, it would seem. And that's a huge difference for us. But you can see a bonus of having Dehaney here. He really does like to dribble. Offside, Niall Bell. Yeah. That rings true, I suppose. Team conceded. Wow, only 19 goals conceded for him. And to be fair, for Baldwin as well, but that doesn't really count. Tackles per game shouldn't have many on there too. Mistakes leading to goals. Charlie Oliver has made 2 this season, so that's a bit of a shame. But mistakes overall, no one. Nice. Key tackles, Charlie Oliver, 22. Really nice to see. Key headers, unlikely to have anyone on there. But Charlie Oliver does squeak onto the list in the end. Interceptions made. Again, Charlie Oliver, he's had a really solid season. Headers 1 ratio. No one on there for us. Concerning. Shots blocked. Unlikely to be on there anyway. And as for the goalkeeping, it's all going to be about Scott Loach there of Barnet, who's had a really, really solid season. But all we can really see from this is Sam Slocum, because nobody else has actually played in goal for us this year. I think he's played every single match, 49 games. Average of a 6.71, 16 clean sheets, average points per game of 2.12, and an 89% pass completion ratio. The issue with Sam Slocum is that the board, his contract expires soon, and I do like the guy, but I do wonder if we could find a better goalkeeper, purely because he's just got a twisted ankle at the moment. But I think that, I don't know, the board don't like me giving contracts to players that are that kind of age, and that's the main issue, and I sense that might well be what does it here. What does that? Oh, you can sort them. That's weird. I didn't know you could do that for the goalkeepers. That's interesting. Oh, is it sorting by his best technical attributes outside of goalkeeping or something? I don't know. So yeah, that's goalkeepers really. Not really much to say about that. Let's move on to the real stuff here. So we'll start with the fullbacks. So this is the new team analysis one that I've built. I've hidden, and the way you can hide players is you put them in the match squad, and then you can click that, so it gets rid of players you don't want to see. So I've just hidden players like Bakayoko, players that haven't really played for us. I want players that we've got a reasonable amount of minutes. Even though Muscat only played 250 odd minutes, I still want to see how he did over those minutes, but just out of curiosity more than anything else. So let's dive into things. You can see McCrory's played the most, but Dehaney and Brindley have played a similar amount of time, as has Declan Dunn. So we're mainly comparing these two to McCrory, although frankly he's going to win this, I would have thought. But these two, I'm very curious to see who's done the best out of the two. So the way this now works is this covers everything. So you can see we've got determination, because I think that's an important stat. I tend to like players with high determination, because I find that even anecdotally it produces good results. Personality, again, I like good personalities, so that'll be useful coming down the line. You can see their attributes here. These are attacking stats for goal scoring, team goals, all this sort of jazz, shots on target, the real front end stuff. This is all about creativity. So we've got passing, headers, just in general, dribbling, cross completion, assists, and chances created and stuff like that. This is more the defensive side of the game. So we've got mistakes, conceded, interceptions, mistakes into goals, tackles, and tackles 1 ratio. And then here is more generalized. So we've got average ratings. We've got minutes, which is important, appearances, player of the match, and of course, average distance covered per 90 minutes. This just allows me to bundle all this stuff into one view, which I think is way more compact and a bit more useful, and it doesn't have any kind of fat on it. So that's the key thing here. So starting off, these ones, I mean, we can have a look and see man of the match awards. So Dehaney's actually got 3 and Brindley has 2. McCrory, despite playing 46 matches, has not got a single man of the match award. So that might point to maybe he's not done as well as we think. But they're all kind of right across a reasonable level, but Muscat was covering more ground when he was on the pitch. So maybe there's something to be said for that, but it does seem that injury has completely stifled him. Mistakes overall. I wish there was a mistakes per 90 minute one, because yeah, to me, this seems to link perfectly into the number of minutes they've played. Like, nobody's really standing out there. Team conceded per 90 minutes. Well, we can see the least amount of goals with Richard Brindley in the team, more with Duhaney and McCrory. So Brindley, certainly, we would lead to the idea that perhaps we perform slightly better defensively with him in the team. Way worse with Declan Dunn, albeit over a smaller period of time. Interceptions per 90 minutes. Brindley, again, vastly better from the intercepting side of things. McCrory and Duhaney are basically dead heat on that one. But you can see that Brindley is cutting out more passes than Duhaney is. So from the defensive side of things, we do look more solid at the back with Brindley in the team. That's just really obvious. No mistakes into goals. Tackles 1 ratio. Duhaney, again, is a tiny bit worse. Well, it's actually a tiny bit better than Brindley, interestingly. And he is, as you can see here, winning more tackles per 90 minutes in general. So he's getting about a little bit. McCrory is winning less tackles overall, but he's really making them count with 93%. Muscat actually won every single tackle he made, but again, it's hard to know. So it's interesting to see that Duhaney performs worse in a lot of the defensive stats, but he is winning more tackles, only by a small amount, but enough to be interesting. That's certainly something. So from a creative standpoint, I'm not super bothered about pass completion, to be honest, from our fullbacks, unless it's noticeably much worse. You can see Brindley is not as good from the pass completion side of things, nor is he completing as many passes in general. Key passes overall, you can see that Brindley, again, actually completes more key passes than Duhaney. A fair amount of them, in fact. So over 1 per game he's been responsible for, but that could be because he takes free kicks, and that might count for that, because I think a key pass is any pass that leads directly to a shot, so that might be the factor in that too. Brindley, a minor amount better in the air, 81 to 79. McCrory at 77. I think he's just slightly shorter, so fair enough on him, that one. Dribbles per game. Duhaney is definitely better than Brindley. Not amazingly better, but definitely better. McCrory does outperform the other two, but if we could find a player, like, what's McCrory's dribbling like? It's 8, whereas Brindley, his dribbling is 10, and Duhaney, his dribbling is 13. So if McCrory was just a little bit better of a dribbler, we might be able to get a bit more out of that side of the pitch. Because I want to see how they are from a creative standpoint. I don't believe that McCrory's really got that many assists this season, in all honesty. So, yeah. Something I'm actually thinking I should add to this is the number of assists and goals they've scored. I just realised we don't actually have that. Super dumb of me not to put that in this analysis view, really. Right, we've saved all that. So, yeah, you can see here. Dribbles per game. Oh, no, we're on... Yeah, dribbles per game. So, we want to go to cross-completion. This one's important for me. Duhaney at 18% is definitely better than Brindley. And I don't know whether that's led to more assists overall. It doesn't appear to have. In fact, it appears to have led to an awful lot less assists. But again, that could be because Brindley was taking free kicks, so it's hard to know how that really compares. But he has provided more assists overall than McCrory at 0.16 per game, because he is taking more, is just producing more of them. And also his chances created per game is just a tiny little bit better than McCrory as well. So he's a more creative player down there. But Declan Dunn, he's got a couple of assists, amazingly, despite a small amount of games played. He's got, a chance creation of the best chance creation of the lot of them, and the best assist per 90 minutes record, which admittedly is a little bit skewed, but still, to have already had 2 assists in that time is definitely promising for him for the future, perhaps. I don't know, it's curious. I mean, you can look at the team goals, like, on this, I guess, but it's not really that relevant for the... I mean, I suppose it is overall, but you can see we score the most with these 2 in the team, but I don't know. Points per game, again, you can see about that. Brindley, we actually get the least amount of points with him in the team, so it's certainly a noteworthy stat there, but not the end of the world. We don't really care much about the shooting stats for these guys, because, of course, they are, once again, fullbacks. So let's move on to centre-backs. So when it comes to centre-backs, we're really only looking at these 3. Like, Rawlinson, Betts have played a minimal amount of minutes, less than a full match worth of minutes, and Coveney actually has played no minutes whatsoever. So I do think that's worth looking at. We'll just auto-size these again. There we go. Just so we can have a little gander here. So just taking a look at things straight off the bat, you can see that Charlie Oliver has played the most minutes, most games overall, and has definitely got the best average rating. At one point, he and Turner were up into like the 7.3s, and then they've really slumped off, particularly Ben Turner. So we'll have a look and see how that's kind of panned out. One thing that's noticeable immediately is the fact that Charlie Oliver's only made... I guess he must have made a mistake into a goal in a cup game too. This covers all games, after all, not just the league. He's made only 5 more mistakes, despite playing an extra 800 minutes, which suggests to me that he's less prone to mistakes, even though he has made some clear, absolute gaffes, like undeniable gaffes. Team conceded per 90 minutes. Like Ben Turner, we do concede less goals with him in the team, though. Pierce Bird, it's definitely more. So that's completely obviously noteworthy there. But he does win a decent number of interceptions. Charlie Oliver, decent with that too, but all in all, they're fairly close together. It's where the tackles-won ratio that comes in that's really interesting. Charlie Oliver at 95% is excellent. 6% more than Ben Turner. Well, not even 6% more, you know what I mean. It's a margin of 6%. And he does win more tackles per 90 minutes. So I'd say that overall, despite the fact that we've conceded less goals with Ben Turner in the team, I feel like Charlie Oliver is just a better defender, but it's those mistakes leading to goals. Like, he makes less mistakes, he wins more interceptions, wins more tackles overall, and a percentage of tackles, but he is clearly good for a gaff occasionally. I can remember one specifically standing out, that horrendous back pass he played through. Oh no, that was actually Pierce Bird, wasn't it? So I don't really know. It should count as Charlie Oliver, in all honesty. But look at this quite clearly here. His pass completion as well. He's much, much better with the ball at his feet. Like, a lot better. Key passes, though, it's very, very similar between them. And one thing I would say is he does win less in the air than both Ben Turner and Pierce Bird. So he's good with the ball at his feet, but not quite so good when it's actually in the air. He wins less headers overall. He's a much better dribbler than Ben Turner. Not that that's a huge issue here. And wow, Ben Turner actually has 5 assists and Charlie Oliver with 3, mostly presumably headers from free kicks and corners that have ricocheted into the path of other people. So I can't really count much on that, really. Looking at them from a kind of goal perspective, like, obviously Charlie Oliver scored 5 goals, so he's a much better goal scorer. He's hit the target way more, and you know, he averages a shot on target every other game, which isn't too bad. And we have won more points with him in the team. So we've conceded less goals with Ben Turner in the team, but we've won more points overall with Charlie Oliver in the team, and way less with Pierce Bird. I mean, I think this is kind of summing it up. I think Charlie Oliver is absolutely first choice starting centre-back next season, and I really do want to find a player that can compete with Ben Turner next year. Just looking at a comparison between the two, perhaps, wouldn't be such a bad idea. Oh dear, let's just go to Ben Turner here, because there's a few areas where you can see Ben Turner is better in the air, better mental, and better at defending overall. But the issue really comes from the fact that, let's just actually highlight key roles for, we don't want to be ball-playing defenders, because that will certainly not suit Ben Turner that much, I wouldn't have thought. Actually, he's not bad at passing, considering. Let's just go defend, yeah, that's what we play him on. So Ben Turner is much better header of the ball, as he's 3 inches taller. Marking is better marker of the ball, he's better tackling too. But that's not playing itself out that way, really, is it? Where Charlie Oliver shines is that composure, that 14 composure, I think is really helping him pick out good passes. And he's got much better pace and reasonable strength as well. Better acceleration, better agility, better natural fitness too. So it definitely makes me think that Charlie Oliver has a lot. He's also got room to grow, whereas Ben Turner's kind of at his max. And I think Charlie Oliver could potentially catch up with Ben Turner in a lot of the technical aspects of his game. Obviously, you won't be able to match him on the physical stuff. I'd rather him be 6'4" as well. But Ben Turner is too slow, I think, for the style of football we play, and he does get caught out way too much. And that's my fault, of course, but I think that's also his fault for being too slow. So I think a key signing to look out for in the summer will be a centre-back. I think we want another centre-back to partner Charlie Oliver and have Ben Turner move into more of a sort of auxiliary role. And, you know, he's worth a lot of money, so maybe there could be an opportunity to move him on. I don't really know if I want to do that, but I think that Charlie Oliver is first choice, and we need a better partner for him next year. Someone who's a lot quicker and has decent composure. Try to basically want Ben Turner with those stats, essentially. That's what we're going to be looking for. So let's move on to, I suppose, defensive midfielders, I guess. Now, I've included Regan Booty in this because he has played there, like, I don't know how, we can see it on tactics, can't we? Is it on development? Tactics. He's played there, 8 times this year and has actually put in solid performances. He's been worse when he's played at left back. Not that that is a huge surprise to anybody. So he's played there enough for me to take him into account, but we've got to be careful, though, because he's played further out. I just want to sort of see how Michael Doyle has done. He's got a couple of Player of the Match awards, maybe from when he scored penalties, I don't know. Booty with 9, though, is insane. He gets about way more, but he's playing in a different role. It's really hard to compare Michael Doyle to anyone, because nobody else that's actually like a designated DM has really played for us this year. I just want to see if there's any glaring holes in him. So, team conceded an average of a goal a game with him in the team. He's not intercepted a great deal, considering he's playing as a deep line playmaker, but that might, as a DM, but maybe that's just not really his repartee. I would like him to have a higher tackles-won ratio, considering Regan Booty's is 93. He's completed a decent amount of passes, though, not as many key passes, and he's not got the great height. I presume that's because he's not the tallest, no. So I'd like a taller, more dynamic DM next year, because there's no way Michael Doyle's staying, because look, he's on $2,500 a week. That's a lot of wages that we could shore up for someone else that isn't 38 years old, unfortunately. Credit to him for this season, but, like, come on. Dribbles per game, again, he's not been particularly dynamic. I'd like someone that could move around a little bit. Not that that's a particularly dribbly role, but it would be nice if it was available. The fact that he's got any assists at all astounds me. Points per game 1 is still 2. It's pretty damn solid. He has scored 83% of his penalties, though, which is nice, because that's actually above the average, so pleasing. Not really much more I can say about that, but I do obviously want to be signing another defensive midfield. Well, not another. We might even want two, because Michael Dawes not going to be here. So I definitely want a DM. Someone who's taller and a bit more dynamic in that role, can get about a little bit quicker. I want a non-league Kante. That's what I really, really want. But let's face it, we're not going to be getting that. Anyway, let's move into the centre of midfield, where things start to get a little bit more interesting. Okay, so here's where things start to take a turn for the interesting, because we've got a bit more options here. Matt O'Reilly and Regan Booty have played the vast majority of matches in these roles. Mitch Rose, though, has played a decent amount of them as well. And Corey Bokolosi has made, 1 start and 6 substitute appearances this year. He's not going to be a world beater anytime soon, but we're giving him some game time, and he's definitely proving that. It concerns me that he's got the 5 determination, though. I would like to try and get him in a mentoring group with some slightly higher determination players, and maybe see if he can improve on that a little bit, because I think that could hinder his development somewhat, but we'll see. So, distance cover per 90 minutes. Regan Booty gets about this pitch like nobody's business. He covers all the ground, and I think that comes from him being a more defensive-minded player. He's so good at that stuff. He's the ultimate player for this role. I mean, he's actually rated higher than Matt O'Reilly is for us, considering that Matt O'Reilly's probably worth an insane amount of money, £500,000. We're going to try and extend that loan without a shadow of a doubt. The 16 goals this year is insane. 6 man of the match awards for him, 9 for Regan Booty, none for Mitch Rose. So definitely worth talking about there. So from a defensive standpoint, we've only conceded 0.77 when Bukalosi's been in the team. So there's definitely that, and we're slightly better, but you can see that we're way worse when Mitch Rose is playing. Like, that is a noticeable decline there. Bukalosi does not win many interceptions, but maybe the sample size is too small. Mitch Rose does, so there is that aspect of things. Booty is an excellent tackler. 93% is very, very good. Mitch Rose wins more tackles overall, but there's actually quite a lot more overall. So maybe he's just not going for as many, old Booty man. Pass completion, though, interesting. Mitch Rose really, really nice at 87%, but maybe it's just that he's not playing as many passes. As you can see at 31, he's playing way less passes. Like O'Reilly at 36 and Regan Booty at 39. They're just playing more passes in general. And where it really stands out, it would appear that Mitch Rose is playing kind of weak, nothing passes. They're not very dynamic, whereas O'Reilly at 1.71 and Regan Booty at 2.6 are far better from a creative standpoint. Even when O'Reilly's playing as a box-to-box midfielder, he vastly dwarfs Mitch Rose in terms of his actual passing contributions. Headers-wise, O'Reilly drifts off a little bit. Rose is about the same as Booty. And again, Bukalosi is a little bit lacking on that one, but could again be the sample size. Who knows? Dribbling per game, Regan Booty again outdoing there. That's where O'Reilly, despite having reasonable dribbling stats, I thought, 9 compared to Regan Booty's 12. So actually that would explain it quite a fair bit there. So Matt O'Reilly isn't the best dribbler of the ball, but Regan Booty just dominates that one, doesn't he? Cross completion, obviously. To be fair, Matt O'Reilly's only provided 2 assists this year, and I guess that's because he's more of a box-to-box player, whereas Mitch Rose has actually provided 4 of them. So, and he's a more creative player. Mitch Rose does create more stuff for us, but I guess you don't really need 2 uber creation players there. Mitch Rose has got 9 goals, but that is because he has scored every single penalty he's taken this year, and that is like 6, maybe even 7. Might even be 8, actually. He's not scored many goals from open play, it would be fair to say. So team goals scored. To be fair, when Mitch Rose plays, we score 2.9. We nearly score 3 goals a game with Rosie in the team. So it's definitely worth looking at. Goals per 90 minutes. He actually has the highest ratio of goals per 90 minutes too, but it could be because of the pens. He's come off the bench and scored a few of them. He does, hit the target a reasonable amount, just like the others, but not quite as much as the others. He doesn't hit the... Well, actually, yeah, he has less shots on target overall. But that's not too bad. I mean, points per game, though, is kind of the key thing here. O'Reilly and Booty definitely slightly better, but Rose hasn't been too bad, to be honest. I think we need more backup in this area. We've got very fortunate to get through a full season without one of these two taking a major injury, so I would like a third player in that rotation that isn't Mitch Rose. Then we've got a bit more backup in that area, particularly with Bukalosi available as well. I think there's more to come, but I would like a sort of a 3-star with big potential kind of player, a youngster that can play in there with O'Reilly and Regan Booty, so we can rotate them around a little bit, because I don't see us getting through another season where these two are able to play virtually every single game. It seems very unlikely. So pretty strong there. So far, I wouldn't mind a backup left back, to be honest, as well, actually. But we want a centre back for the first team, a backup for the midfield here. If we can get O'Reilly back on loan, because let's face it, that might not happen. Fulham might not want to do that, so that could change things dramatically as well. So 2 more roles to go. Let's go with the wingers, because there's been a lot of players that have played in those wing roles, and I want to see who's done the best. So here's our winger layout. Like, we've actually had 7 different people have played over like 300 minutes for us in the wing role this year. Now, of course, Walker's played a couple of times up front for us as well, but very rarely. He's mostly been brought on as a winger. If we actually have a look at Stephen Walker, I'm pretty certain he's predominantly been deployed on the left. 7 striker appearances, and he's actually been better as a striker, so there is that. Hopefully we'll see how that actually pans out. So just looking at this, Player of the Match awards. Sousa with 3. I mean, that's really impressive. For him to have 3 Man of the Match awards in only 18 appearances. It's him and Baldwin that have really stood out for us. I've been so impressed with Eriko Sousa. He's been so good. Distance cover per 90 minutes. You can see that Tyson, Walker, all of these guys, they actually cover a lot of ground. Even when Osborne, and Semenyo, I think it's just that the left-hand side seems to encourage a bit more ground being covered. Maybe because of the setup of the roles that they're being asked to play, perhaps. I don't really know. Mistakes overall, who's made the most? Milan Bars has actually made the most mistakes, which is interesting because, yeah, that's surprising considering how... Then again, he's also played, amazingly, the most minutes out of anyone on the role. So maybe there is that aspect. Right, let's just look at the defensive side of things. So we're the best, actually, when Bars, Baldwin are in the team. Tyson's actually done all right when he's in the team. So honestly, it would look like that pairing that we had at the start of the season of Bars and Baldwin was clearly the key pairing of them. You can see that Semenyo, we were really poor with him and Osborne in the team. Sousa's done okay at holding down the fort, as has Nathan Tyson. Those were the sort of the backup pairing that did the best, it would be fair. Interceptions, I'm not too bothered about that for the wingers, unless anyone's really standing out on it. Tyson did all right, actually, in fairness. Tackles 1. Semenyo, again, really, really poor. Just dreadful. Although we did win a decent amount of tackles overall. But, yeah, not the best. Pass completion. Bars again at 83. Sousa 82. Walker, Baldwin. Semenyo right down towards 74. Baldwin actually, 76 isn't too bad. They're not really completing many passes in general, surprisingly, because they just get the ball, they run with it. The dribbling is kind of a key aspect of this role, and it's going to be interesting to see how they've actually performed when given that option. So, key passes, Nathan Tyson played a decent amount. Bars, again, he's put up really solid numbers in this. Sousa's actually outperformed Baldwin on the key passing strategy, but it might be because things have changed over the season, and again, Semenyo, bottom of that. He has won the most headers. That's one of the few things he's got going for him, is he's won the most headers. Dribbles per game, Baldwin right up there. Semenyo and Walker in there too. Sousa at 3.09. So, yeah, Milan Bars does not dribble that much, despite having reasonable attributes for it. But you can see, Baldwin is so far ahead of everybody else on the dribbles, and that's what we're missing from him. Like, that was such a key aspect of our game that kind of went out the window. That was an extra dribble per game that we were losing. Now, cross completion, super important. Walker at 21 is very good. Sousa at 18, again, outperforms his teammate in that same role. Bars at 17, tied with Tyson. So Semenyo's done okay in certain areas, but I just don't think he's done enough for me. But Sousa, very, very pleased with his performance for us overall so far this season. I've actually been very, very impressed. And again, from a creative standpoint, he's been vastly better than Baldwin. Like, he really has. 6 assists so far is actually the highest other than Milan Bars. But the fact that Bars has got 8, then again, he's also played the most minutes. So Tyson did all right in this as well. So Baldwin is definitely just a scorer, it would seem. He's not the most creative player. Though, that being said, he's not too bad on chance creation. Not anywhere near as good as Sousa, though. So it's a bit of both. Team goals per 90 minutes. We scored the most with him in the team because he was in the team for that first stretch as well. His own goals per 90 minutes, again, is far above everybody else. He's one of the highest scorers in the league, in the team, with 15 goals in all competitions. He hits the target 50% of the time too, which is very, very important. Again, Semenyo is so far down here. And Bars is not great. This actually still pretty decent. Shots on target per 90 minutes as well. Like, Semenyo doing okay there. Tyson not hitting enough shots in general. Sousa, again, decent stuff there. Points per game, very clear to see. 2.28, but Sousa, he's done okay. Semenyo, really, really off the pace. Tyson, he's within a reasonable ratio. And I've got to say, Sam Osborne, he's not been great, but he's done a decent enough job in places. So, for the wingers, obviously Walker and Semenyo will leave at the end of the season, but we've got Baldwin and we've got Eriko Sousa. So having those two on the right wing next year, I'm not entirely objecting to that. And on the left, Milan Bars, I want to try and sign another left winger potentially to give him some backup there because Tyson's going to be gone. And I think we definitely need more options on that left-hand side. But having a right-hand side we can rotate around between Baldwin and Sousa, that's going to be quite a decent lineup, frankly. Even at League 2 level next year, I think. If they can carry on some of these attributes. He had 14 goals by the time he got injured. God knows where he could have got to had he stayed fit. Anyway, one last thing. It's strikers. Not really sure who we're even comparing other than Wes Thomas here, I suppose. But I still want to see how he's done. So lastly, we're looking at strikers. Really, it's only about Wes Thomas. Because Christian Dennis, he played up front for us a bit. Rene Campbell has done. Obviously, Stephen Walker a little bit. But mostly it's been Wes Thomas. 44 appearances in total. Super, super pleased with him this year. 3 Man of the Match awards. Not the most. I actually am surprised. I think he's got 1 hat-trick this year, so there's that. From a defensive side of things, we're not really that bothered about him. I just want to sort of see if there's anything that really stands out. He's winning a decent number of headers. Well, 47%, but he's winning a decent number of them at least. Dribbling at 1.84 is okay. He's crossing reasonably well. I would like him to be more creative, but then he's the focal point. So, in all honesty, I'm just happy that he's scoring goals for us. He's 33, though, and that concerns me. He's got 1 more year left on his contract. So I do get the feeling that we need to start looking for a replacement for him, because there's no way the board are going to let me give him an extension. But I think he'll be fine, and I think he's definitely going to be here next year. No worries about that whatsoever. He's going to be a Notts County player next season. He will be playing for us in League 2, but I do wonder if we could maybe go out and find ourselves an even better striker who's younger with room to grow, and then slowly sort of drift him into the team a little bit. Because I think, as you can see, Thomas kind of hit his peak in December, and he kind of drifted down a little bit, and then he's slowly but surely drifting away towards the end of the season. As we've kind of drifted a little bit ourselves, but it might just be that the age is starting to catch up with him now, and he's slowly starting to move down in his progression, which is completely understandable in fairness. So, I often do, well, those of you that are new to the channel won't know this, but we do a word of the day. So if you've got to this part of the video, I put a word of the day in the video, and you guys put it in the comments. So let me know that you got this far into the video. Today's word of the day is obviously going to be Tang Fastics, because that free bag of them I got with that RAM order for some reason. So yeah, drop that in the comments if you've reached this far into the video. I hope you guys that are new to this type of video enjoyed this little look at things. I think it's given us a little eye-opening look into what's kind of been going wrong, what's kind of going right, and where we need to improve, and where we could look for signings. And this is so useful for me for analysing where we need to actually be strengthening the squad based on the stats that we can see on the screen right now. Sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes you see things and you're like, you would never have noticed that just by looking purely at goals and assists and stuff like that. There's sometimes little things that completely go under the radar that unless you look at the minutiae, you will not notice it. So, if you've enjoyed this, drop a like, that'd be glorious. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video for some transfer goodies. Oh boy, it's going to be a fun one. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.